Still watching Business Morning. Now to our next conversation. Last week, the president of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Mr. M.A.N, had called on policymakers to be consistent to aid ease of doing business in the economy. He stated that the lack of consistency in the enactment of policies was making it difficult for manufacturers to keep their costs low and operate profitably. Well, we have the Director General of M.A.N, Mr. Segun Ajayi. He joins us now to elaborate on this. Great to have you on the program. Good morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Yeah. So the federal government has been talking about, ease of doing business for a while now. How impactful has this policy been on the economy?
Okay, once again, thank you for having me. The Ease of Doing Business program of the federal government came as a relief to economic actors. And that is indicating that those challenges that have hitherto limited one's capacity to profitably engage in private business were being dismantled. And as you know, on the international ranking, we have continued to improve. So the ease of doing business has to some extent solved the issues, especially about regulation, ease of registration, and so on and so forth. To that, there's positive impact. However, what we have always advocated and which we are in constant engagement with the Ease of Doing Business Office is that this has to go side by side with the reduction in the cost of doing business. If you find it easy to do business, but the cost of doing business is still high, you still have this barrier that will continue to limit the performance of business people. So yes, we are improving in the ease of doing business. It's now a lot easier for you to register your company. Payment of taxes are being made easier, and some regulatory bottlenecks are being put aside. However, the cost remains high. And once the cost remains high, it's difficult for you to profitably produce and be competitive.
Okay,
so I mean that is just the basic argument around it.
When you said you need a reduction in the cost of doing business, I presume you're referring to things like infrastructure.
Yes, and even the cost of keeping up with regulatory agencies, the fees and the levies that they collect in the course of performing their statutory functions. Those costs needs to be brought down, such that even though it is easy for you to get a license or to get your licenses renewed, the cost of doing so is equally important. It has the capacity of affecting your bottom line, and even the time that you also spend in getting facilities to comply with such regulations becomes a drain on your process.
All right, so Mr. Ahmed also talked about multiplicity of taxes and levies. How has this affected you, and what's your suggestion, for the way forward?
It affects us negatively. Unfortunately, this is a bridge we thought we had crossed, but is coming back now, especially with the reduction in the revenue of government. Different tiers of government, the federal, the state, and the local governments, have continued to put levies on businesses, especially manufacturing entities, because as a manufacturer, you must have a factory which has a gate and is easily accessible. So all manner of demands come to you, both from the federal, from the state, and from the local government. What this does to us is that, one, it means that from the beginning of the year, it's not even possible for you to determine how much tax you are going to pay. And then anyone can show up at any time to ask for you to pay. And if you do not pay, they lock your gate. Even when our goods are on transit, you have local governments putting illegal roadblocks. Many tax forces are set up by states to collect levies and fees that hitherto were not in your production plan. They are not things that you are expecting. All this has a cumulative effect of increasing your business, wasting your time, and bringing uncertainty into the whole process. We had thought that with the publication of the list of taxes that are collectible by different tiers of government, this will have been brought to a close, but it's not so. And the Joint Tax Board has repeatedly assured that this was going to be done, but I think it's actually very proving difficult for them to rein in the activities of other tiers of government, particularly the states and the local governments.
Yeah, because I was going to ask that, are we sure some of these individuals who claim to be representing the government are actually not fake?
In some cases, I will agree with you, they are fake. But the thing is that they wear uniforms, they are not challenged by the police or government agencies, and so they operate freely. And if you argue with them, you will have your trucks delayed, and you know how the security situation in the country is. If you wait too long at any point, you are likely to also lose your goods. So I think while we agree, and we have reported several to the police, especially in Ogun State, there are issues there that we have reported to government. Once in a while they intervene, but it never stops them from re-emerging. So the local government, through their association, have repeatedly also assured that they were going to rein in our members, and that once you pay a certain tax at the local government, it doesn't extend to the other. But all that has proved not to be true. And day by day, you have new ones being introduced. But what we have continued to advocate is that government should enforce its rules. If there are taxes and levies that have been assigned to each tier of government to collect, they shouldn't go outside of this, because we constantly inform our members about what those taxes are and what those levies are and when they are collected. And we have hoped that with this, there will be mutual obedience to what we have agreed. But that is proving to be difficult. In fact, in the recent CEO index that we conducted, the survey that we conducted, we saw that multiplicity of taxes and levy has continued to climb in terms of what has been a major challenge in recent times. So it's resurfacing again.
All right, so let's look at the foreign exchange. Now, there has been a change in, management of Forex by the CBN. Has this, made any difference in accessibility and availability for you?
Yes, I think we did welcome the change in the Forex management. And that was because we felt that with the streamlining of the process and it should leave more Forex in the hands of money deposit banks. And of course, manufacturers will now be able to meet their needs far better than it used to be, and at rates that will allow them to produce and be competitive. I would rather say that it's probably too early to say whether it is successful or not. I think in another week or two, we should be able to give figures as to what our members have demanded and what they have been able to get. However, from the reports I continue to have, we have not noticed any significant allocation to the manufacturing sector. What has happened is you will bid, you will have a specific amount that you have asked for, but there is never enough to meet your demand. However, like I said, we are putting together this information and we'll be approaching the central bank for us to be able to discuss on how we can benefit from this new arrangement. This new policy of government has brought it closer to what we have always advocated, which is that we should streamline and have a single window for allocation of forex, because it's easier for you to manage and to sectorally allocate to areas where you want to prioritize. So we are thinking that, yes, this is the right thing to do, but it must immediately continue to show that there is an appreciable allocation to sectors that you are prioritized. And I think the productive sector, the manufacturing sector, is one of those.
All right, talking about manufacturers, this year is supposed to be the AFCFTA year, and you guys are supposed to be at the fore of it. I know that we do have a committee that is supposed to be in charge of implementation. How much conversation or communication do you have between you guys, the manufacturers, who are supposed to be at the fore, and, you know, this implementation committee? And what level are we at now? Have we started?
Okay, yes, thank you. The AFCFTA, like you rightly said, is a very important agreement for Nigeria, not only Nigeria and for Africa. It should be clear to everyone, including our trading partners from outside of Africa, that there is a decision now for us to that has brought us together to agree to trade among ourselves, and then to be able to hedge against all those challenges we have had trading with other parts of the world. Yes, it started 1st of January this year, but it is not starting as smoothly as some would have expected, even though it didn't come to us as a surprise. There are so many areas that we needed to cover. And I must give kudos to the Secretariat in Accra, because between January and now, they have tried to speed up on those protocols that are yet to be concluded, especially the rule of origin, which is very critical to the implementation of the agreement. That is being sorted out, and Africa is gradually moving towards an effective start. So yes, we have started, but effective trading is still yet to start. And directly to your question, in Nigeria, the National Action Committee on the AFCFTA is really, I think they are doing a good job. They are bringing together all the agencies that will be relevant to a beneficial engagement in that continental trade. However, we must notice that we need to have more cooperation among the agencies of government that are involved. We can still notice in some areas government agencies, ministries that are working at cross purposes. We have notified the National Action Committee on FCFTA, and something grand is being done about it. For the manufacturing work stream, that has been put squarely under the leadership of our organization, and you rightly pointed it out that we are supposed to be in the forefront. We are in the front of providing to government, by way of information, what they need to do so that Nigeria will be able to, so that manufacturers in Nigeria will be able to engage beneficially in this trade. We have also, on our own part, been talking to our members, which we do monthly, on what is required under AFCFTA, what they need to do to be able to identify the markets that they will penetrate, what are the regulatory and standard conditions that they needed to meet. We are also working together with other regulatory agencies, SON, NAFDAC, and the rest of them, so that we do not have non-tariff barriers that will debar us from having a good showing in the continent. So all those we are doing under the auspices of the AFCFTA Action Committee.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajayi Kadri, Mr. Segun Ajayi Kadri, Director General of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, for sharing your having this conversation with us this morning, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
So we'll take a break now. When we come back, the issue of value-added tax and who are we to pay to? That will be our next conversation. Do stay with us. It's Business Morning on Channels Television.